Russians watched a cup of cappuccino being made, but this was no ordinary cup of strong Italian espresso and hot milk. At 100 litres, this offering was a Russian record, the largest cup of cappuccino ever made in Russia. Russia is a nation that has embraced coffee culture in a very short space of time. The 100-litre cup of the classic Italian coffee drink was made with 30 litres of strong espresso and 70 litres of milk. That's a lot of espresso by anyone's standards. Produced as part of a promotional event to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the invention of the modern espresso machine, Russia's giant cup of cappuccino is set to make its way into the country's record books. The coffee cup weighs 50 kilograms and is 45 centimetres high, with a 71.5 centimetre diameter. About 30 litres of water, 70 litres of milk and 7 kilograms of coffee were used to set the record. Cappuccino is an Italian product that's been well known in Russia for many years. The 100-litre cup of cappuccino is not the largest in the world, but it does break records within Russia itself. The world record belongs to Italy. Russia has been in the grips of a coffee drinking fever for more than a year now, with a thriving cafe society spawning scores of new homegrown chains in Moscow, serving everything from high-quality espresso to fruit-flavoured coffee inspired by exotic offerings from the west coast of the United States. Cappuccino, espresso topped with frothed milk, is popular in Italy as a breakfast drink. The largest cappuccino made in Italy was mixed in 2002. The monster cup was 1,500 litres, enough to serve 2,000 people. But Russia's giant cup of coffee got the thumbs up from Italian coffee expert Luigi Lupi. He said the temperature, foam and coffee were all good. The dark colour of the coffee and the white cap of milk is said to resemble the habit of a Capuchin monk, hence the name. That amount of caffeine is sure to get you jumping.
On the rocky highlands of Hawaii, one of the world's best places for observing the heavens, the largest, most powerful robotic telescope has been built. But this 2-metre telescope, soon to be joined by one in Australia, is not for professional astronomers. School children in the UK, Australia and Hawaii can use computers to direct the telescope to view planets or far-flung galaxies from the classroom. It's the brainchild of a British businessman who has put £10 million into the project. As well as helping the teachers give more interesting science lessons, the project aims to give children a taste of real research work. Children using the telescope will have the right to name any star they discover, an extra incentive in this groundbreaking bid to recruit the Galileos and Keplers of the future.
Next, in our Around the World segment, a cute story about a baby hippo who is beginning to take daily dips at a Berlin zoo. Born 2.5 weeks ago, Berlin Zoo's new baby hippopotamus took its first bath in front of curious visitors. The youngest of a herd of 5 cannot yet swim and wasn't all too pleased about the now daily trips to the zoo pool. But the baths are necessary for the young hippo to get used to the water. When things get too exhausting, the baby hippo uses the back of its mum to rest. Zookeepers say that the young animal is totally dependent on its mother, and as you can see, it leaves no space between itself and the mother. It only feeds on milk and sometimes it chews a bit of grass, but it can't really eat. The baby is totally dependent on the mother to defend it, which is why it maintains body contact. In order to breathe, the little hippo has to catapult itself from the bottom to the surface of the water. It's quite a challenge for the youngster because the water in the pool is quite deep, almost 2 meters in many places. Family groups of hippos spend most of the day in the water. Staying submerged helps a hippo stay cool in the hot, tropical climate where it lives. The hippo's nose, ears and eyes are on the top of its head and they protrude from the water, while the rest of its head and body lie beneath the surface. That way, a hippo can breathe, see and hear even while its body is submerged.
A team of 5 engineering students in southern India has designed a special voice-controlled wheelchair which could be of immense help to quadriplegics and other people who rely on wheelchairs for mobility. Quadrobot is a speech-controlled robotic wheelchair and environment control system that allows a quadriplegic patient to cruise around his home or workplace as well as control electrical appliances without anybody's help. The unique invention has opened new doors for the physically challenged, giving them more freedom than ever before. The developers say that they built the chair keeping in mind the special requirements of the quadriplegics or people with paralysis from the neck down. The commendable project was completed by a team of 5 second-year B.Tech students of engineering in just 1 year. It uses Microsoft Dictation Engine for voice recognition. The chair runs on a 12-volt battery and is equipped with 2 motors.
At an engineering workshop in Nairobi's industrial area, mechanics pull out a metal skeleton and begin to add and assemble more parts. Slowly it takes shape and one can gradually see that this is an aircraft frame. All this is done under the watchful eye of Felix, a 24-year-old orphan Bachelor of Arts Nairobi University student. Felix keenly supervises each bolt as it's fitted and turned, knowing that his childhood dreams of flying lie in this Kenyan Pioneer aircraft, a micro-light plane he has designed and decided to build on his own. 2 years ago, Felix's dreams of ever joining an aviation school were shattered when his only supporter and financier, his mother, passed away, leaving him to struggle to live up to his mother's expectations while not having any money to do so. So Felix came up with the design for the aircraft he's dubbed PW1, initials standing for his mother's name. He made the aircraft with light aluminium metal, specified for the manufacture of aircraft, and intends to finish the plane, weighing about 100 kilograms. For the engine, Felix is using an old Volkswagen Beetle, whose output he hopes to enhance to enable to take off. Due to lack of resources, Felix has only been to air shows but has never flown in a plane, so he lacks hands-on experience. But he learns what he can with a computer using a flight simulator. Spare parts that he can't afford, he modifies them at his local workshop. He has learned what he needed to know over the years rummaging through texts, books and magazines on aircraft. This is his second design. What goes up always comes down. Felix is prepared for the eventualities when he takes his dangerous flight. This includes landing. But for Felix, following his dream and making it a reality is important. Life is a risk, and better to take a risk to really live. Felix plans to have his plane available to local farmers and modify it accordingly to suit their needs, such as crop spraying upon completion of his debut flight. But for now, Felix will just have to look, admire and hope.
We begin our environment segment with a story about tires, lots of them. Mexican officials are searching for a solution to a unique problem, the proliferation of millions of scrap tires along the US-Mexico border. Officials say discarded tires are the result of the area's explosive population growth and demand for used American tires. This city, with a population of 1.2 million, is a working-class city with one of the highest crime rates in the country and growing unemployment. In this gritty border city, tires are sometimes used to build staircases and building material for informal housing. Most, however, are simply stockpiled along the unpaved city streets. The city generates more than 800,000 scrap tires per year and has 6 illegal tire dumps and one 12-acre legal tire dump, which alone contains 3.3 million tires. The people who live there are being inundated. The city's ecology supervisor says the piles of millions of tires are a fire hazard. Although there is no record of a major tire fire, the fire department reported 300 fires involving tires during the 2000-2002 period. Local experts say the dumps breed disease-carrying mosquitoes and provide dirty fuel for industrial facilities. One plan to be developed in the next 4 years would allow a Mexican cement factory to create an alternative fuel and rubberized asphalt from the scrap tires. Searching for a long-term solution, local governments are developing projects aimed at recycling the tires.
This is what the new campaign wants to avoid: ship graveyards where the breakers carry out their work under horrific conditions, with few or no health and safety environmental controls. Asbestos is often removed by hand with no protective equipment, and fire and explosions are commonplace. The organisers of this launch say British firms have the experience and potential to recycle ships, especially UK ships, in conditions that protect workers and communities. It is believed that the British government have a responsibility to ensure that vessels are recycled in a regulated and controlled manner, but to also contribute towards major environmental cleanup of the rest of the world. The organisers want the British government to ensure that government-owned vessels be only decommissioned in state-of-the-art facilities within Britain and the European Union.
On to our health story, and Jordan's Queen Rania Al Abdullah was among the leading dignitaries in London recently to launch a global health campaign for child immunisation. The vaccine fund, set up by entrepreneur and businessman Bill Gates, hopes to save at least 1 million young lives between now and 2006. Every year, 3 million adults and children die from preventable diseases because they haven't been immunised. Members of the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunisations from around the world gathered in London to discuss how to expand the reach of their programme. The key problems remain hepatitis B, tetanus, diphtheria and polio, and how to get immunisation to the poorest people in the world. The fund aims to set up health systems in developing nations, with immunisations a key step toward better overall health care. Queen Rania of Jordan supports the fund and believes immunisation is a human right that isn't being achieved. $1 billion has been raised to broaden the immunisation programme over the next 5 years and reduce the numbers of preventable deaths.
More than 130 leading galleries in Britain are organising a major exhibition to make art more accessible, understandable and affordable. The Affordable Art Fair has items from £25 to £2,500. The same show last year raised around £3 million in sales, and given the growth in the market, more is expected this year. It's the 5th year for London's Affordable Art Fair. The whole idea is to show that contemporary art is for everybody and no longer an elite pursuit. Will Ramsey, the founder of the Affordable Art Fair, says that the interest in the fair has grown. He sees the switch from a largely industrial society to a service-based industry as a factor. People are earning salaries where they can afford art. To broaden the appeal, a public eye competition is being run with 50 finalists selected by a panel of people not normally considered part of the art world. The idea is for the visitors to vote for their favourite piece. Sophie Abbott's colourful visions of New York range in price from £150 up to £2,000. Last year, she sold 7 paintings here. The fair is also an opportunity for young artists to display and sell their work directly to the public. Gallery curators believe that the fair is an excellent idea because it will make the public look at the art in a slightly more critical way. At the last Affordable Fair, 18,000 visitors came.
A breathing house for the future that purifies all its interior air has been unveiled in London. It is one of the major attractions at the Ideal Home exhibition. It is being promoted as a solution to fighting indoor allergies in the 21st century. The Space Air Solutions climate-controlled house was developed as a healthier alternative to the contemporary British home. Its conditioning air units ventilate the building with purified air, making it a healthier living space for asthmatics, hay fever sufferers and those living in polluted cities. The highly efficient insulation of modern homes has brought with it a new environmental problem of so-called sealed box syndrome. This is where drafts are excluded without providing adequate air ventilation, creating poor indoor air quality. Linda Barker designed the house interior. Barker says that clean, fresh air, though unseen, is a vital element of the home comfort in the 21st century. People go to the home show with an idea of developing their own houses, looking for ideas to incorporate into their own designs. It's all about top-end technology and showing people how to use it and where it's available. Organisers of the Ideal Home Show hope that anyone looking for inspiration for their own homes will find the Airspace Solutions House a breath of fresh air in every way.
More than a touch of daring, an eye for the unusual, and bursting with youthful enthusiasm was the keynote at London's Alternative Fashion Week. Over 60 young designers have won the chance to present their collections in the historic setting of the Spitalfields Market. The students of Waltham Forest College in East London both make and model their designs. Squares and triangles were the favourites for these first-year undergraduates, creating a soft, light feel with a hint that summer was on its way. The hats this year sought the inspiration for romance and intrigue from Paris, called the City of Love. Amy Livesley's Birds of Paradise presented all the colours of the rainbow, made even more distinctive by her choice of materials.
Cindy Kwok, who graduated from the prestigious Central St Martin's School of Art, drew on her Asian roots for her show. This was the lineup of 60 young designers at London's Alternative Fashion Week. Fresh views of the day and evening wear were mixed with a sense of history that confirmed their continued zest for fashion adventure. Gareth Pugh had a statement to make and wasn't afraid to make it. Change what you believe and you will change what is real. This graduate of Central St Martin's School of Art and Design in London worked with bright primary colours, then borrowed from the insect world for further outlandish creations. Ed Crutchley described his style as a mix of British urban and country for his first show. He matched his own version of adapted running shoes with details that recalled earlier centuries. The shoulder design on dresses referred to his interest in the reign of Elizabeth I in the 16th century. Antonio Wingfield had a longer journey than most. He's based in Dallas, Texas, designing individual evening wear of timeless elegance. After building up his American clientele, he appreciates the chance to develop interest in Europe, where the range of styles can be greater. Antonio says that he gets the impression that people are extremely stylish, so the Alternative Fashion Show would be a lot of fun because of that very diversity in dress. Chelsea College in London were one of the numerous student groups to present shows. They drew on the 1920s and further back to the late 19th century. A sense of humour with kitchenware and recipes incorporated was typical of the zest for clothes from these young designers in the heart of London. The designs were received well by onlookers and is a great opportunity for these young designers to get their work seen and take the next step in their careers.
We move on to our travel segment. Have you ever wondered where the stone for the mighty Egyptian pyramids came from? Well, wonder no more. And if you have the chance whilst touring through Egypt, you should definitely check out the newly discovered ancient quarries. Each year, thousands of tourists flock to the sites of Egypt, the most famous of all the pyramids. Now, archaeologists in Egypt have discovered the country's first quarry, the stones of which were used to build temples as well as the famous pyramids. The discovery was made at the finished obelisk in Aswan, located about 600 miles south of Cairo. Ancient Egyptians used stones from the quarry to build obelisks for their temples. The common stones used in ancient Egypt included granite, basalt, limestone and sandstone. The Aswan quarry produced sandstone. Dr. Hawass explains that when they did their site management project, they made a major, important discovery. They took 100 cubic metres of sand from the site and the discoveries just appeared. Along with the quarry, another of the discoveries was that of the harbour, which once connected the River Nile at Aswan to the north. It can be imagined that it was from this harbour, all those thousands of years ago, that the obelisks were shifted after they were cut and shaped. They would be transported along the Nile. Archaeologists also discovered stone carvings in some of the stones at the end of the harbour. One scene depicted dolphins swimming in the water. According to Hawass, this proves that people from the Mediterranean were working with the Egyptians to cut obelisks. Another important discovery that was made was an inscription dedicated to King Thutmose III. The description says that the king asked his architect to cut obelisks for a new temple. Not seen here, but one of the greatest results of the quarrying of these stones is the unfinished obelisk, commanding the presence of a lost city from its rocky bed in an ancient quarry high above Aswan. It speaks of the hubris of the pharaohs and the grueling labour of their minions, of the triumphs of quarrying and its unimaginable failures. The majesty and dignity of the pyramids will continue to draw tourists from around the world. They are monuments to the ingenuity of our ancient ancestors.
For people who cycle or run in busy city streets, pollution is an unpleasant nuisance, but for asthma sufferers it can be a real hazard. Alison McConnell, sports scientist at Brunel University near London, has developed this plastic device to filter out exhaust fumes and dirt before they get into your lungs, a particular problem for asthmatics in the summer. Rates of admission to emergency departments are much higher during the summer months, particularly when the levels of pollution are high. Researchers say that the PureBreathe device with its inbuilt filter could also benefit healthy athletes whose exposure to pollution over time could bring about the same chronic lung inflammation seen in asthmatics. When we exercise hard, we only breathe through our mouths, so there is no need for a breathing mask for athletes to cover the nose as well. But would urban runners as well as cyclists be happy to use even this lightweight pollution buster? The inventors are also spending some time optimizing the design of the mouthpiece so that it enables it to sit comfortably in the mouth with a minimum amount of effort to actually hold it in place. The feedback they've had from runners who have used the prototype has been positive. The inventors are currently looking for a company to produce the PureBreathe. They confidently expect that soon cyclists and runners will be using them routinely for commuting or for that quick lunchtime workout.
The Country Living magazine Spring Fair has heralded the coming of spring in London for the past 12 years. The 5-day event is invaluable from a business perspective, as it's attended by all the major buyers from the top London retailers, including Harrods and Selfridges. Hampshire-based potter Robert Goldsmith is one of the exhibitors in the new Design Emporium. He sees the fair as the perfect opportunity not just to sell his work, but also to teach visitors a bit about the process behind this traditional English skill. Robert uses techniques that have been used for many hundreds of years in Hampshire, in Stoke-on-Trent, where the big potteries are. Decoration and the glazes are all done by hand, which is a continuous arts and crafts tradition in the UK and particularly from Victorian times. The Simply Delicious Fruitcake Company sells its traditional products around the world via the company website, mainly to British expats nostalgic for the taste of home. Founder Millie Hunter says that the Spring Fair is the best marketing tool she could have. The Country Living magazine Spring Fair not only brings together businesses with their customers and potential buyers, it also brings the countryside to the city. Well, that's all we have time for today. We look forward to your company next time.